We begin our bulletin here. The Chief Executive Officer and Chief Financial Officer of Thembisa Provincial Tertiary Hospital have been placed on precautionary suspension. This comes after the Special Investigating Unit opened investigation into procurement processes at the hospital. Gauteng Premier David Makhura has welcomed the suspensions. For more on this, we're joined by Vuyo Mhaga, who is the Premier's spokesperson. Thank you so much for your time, Vuyo. We do appreciate it. I hope you can hear me. Let's just start off with the decision to have these two individuals suspended and what prompted this decision.
Well, thank you very much for having me first, Heidi, as well as the viewers of ENCA. You'll remember the Premier had issued a statement that he will request the forensic team an independent forensic team, to investigate on the happenings of the Thembisa. And after that statement, then we ensued to some legal opinions, and so to be actually informed so that we don't do anything that is outside the law. And subsequently, then the Premier, you'll know that we've got the MOU with the SIU, and we felt that that's a correct body to really do the proper investigation on the matter. And now that's where we are, where we felt that both the CEO of the Thembisa Tertiary Hospital as well as the CFO of the Department of Health must be put on precautionary suspension so that the work can then basically begin without interference.
Is there any risk that there has been some kind of interference, given that this has taken a year for the suspension to take place, given what Babita Deokaran had been investigating and lifting the lid on at Thembisa Hospital?
Well, I hope with the work that will have already been done, and of course the capability of the SIU over a period of time, we are quite confident that if there's anything that is untoward, we will be able to deal with that. And there are already some of the people that have approached us to really speak to us about what has been happening in the Thembisa area. So we are quite confident that the information at the right time will be able to be unearthed. And really those who are in the wrong will obviously face the might of the law.
Vuyo, why did it take so long for the suspension to happen?
No, that's what I'm saying. It's not something that you wake up and do. You need to make sure that you engage the legal, guys who must actually give you a sound legal view and to look at all aspects, because you can rush it only at a later stage to find out that we've actually backed it up. And that's really not in our interest. Our interest is to make sure when we go in, we are able to make sure that we get exactly what has been happening there without actually being bogged down by technicality, because we have raised something of this great importance.
I want to speak about possible further suspensions without giving too much information away. I know this is a very sensitive investigation, but are you able to say whether or not there are other individuals within the Department of Health in the province, but also Thembisa Hospital, that are being questioned about the corruption that was going on with regards to COVID-19 procurement?
Well, mainly will be directed, obviously, by the investigation in the SIU. You'll understand the SIU follow a partner process. So in the course of following that process, it find some of the people really in the wrongdoing. Of course, those people will be brought to book. So we don't want to obviously speculate, but we want to give the SIU the full support and the full space that it can actually do its work. It's been doing a sterling work in Parla and Gauteng, and we're quite confident again, if there's really any wrongdoing, they'll be able to unearth and they'll be able to inform us what basically we need to do. And we always act according to their recommendations.
There's a worrying trend that we are seeing, Vuyo, and it's something that was also mentioned in the statement released by the Premier's office yesterday, that the head of department has been receiving some threats. And we, of course, do not want to repeat of what happened to Babita Deokaran for investigating and lifting the lid and basically saying she fears for her life. And that was almost ignored. What is being done to protect the head of department or any other individual that could possibly be investigating something very sensitive like corruption and is receiving such threats?
Well, I think the first thing that the Premier did as soon as he has received that information, he spoke to the Lieutenant General, General Mawela, to make sure that he actually pays the necessary attention and provide the necessary support. But not only that, because in fighting corruption, we need to protect whistleblowers. The Premier is actually due to meet with the Minister of Justice to make sure, to say how best we strengthen the program of whistleblowers, because these are the people that actually are able to assist us and point us in the right direction in terms of wherever the corruption is happening, and we're able to respond. So in this particular case of the HOD, Lieutenant General Mawela has been briefed to make sure that he protects the HOD, or the HOD is basically protected insofar as this thing is concerned.
Well, we do hope there is some protection, because we do not want to repeat that. Just lastly, the Babita Deokaran family is really dissatisfied with the intervention from the Premier's office, saying that a year on and nothing has really been done. Only some action has been taken now with these two individuals being suspended. And they say that there's been very little support for the family with regards to really unearthing and trying to find out who the mastermind is behind Babita Deokaran's death. While I know the Premier's office does not necessarily have the powers to really unearth all of that, what do you have to say to the family as they feel as though there's been little support and little effort from the Premier?
Well, it will be appreciated where they come from. Of course, it's their loved one. In terms of, someone that has been there, that they loved. So we understand exactly where they come from. But as you are correctly saying, Heidi, the best we can do, because we can really try to push it, only to find out, we'll be told at a later stage that we're interfering with the investigation that is ongoing. We are actually looking at that investigation with quite interest. We know that the state is opposing bail, and we are quite happy with that. But as we do that, we must make sure that we don't find ourselves interfering with the work of the law enforcement agencies. So we are, of course, happy that the work is being done. Of course, all of us would wish that we can move at a faster pace, because Babita was not only an employee, but was a very critical, light in terms of fighting the scourge of corruption, not only in Gauteng, but really throughout our country. And so it is in our interest that we move as fast as we can. But also in doing that, let's make sure that we don't interfere with the law enforcement agencies.
Certainly. I mean, South Africans are indebted to Babita Deokaran and every other whistleblower who risked their lives in lifting the lid on corruption. Just very lastly, Vuyo, I want to ask you about the state of Gauteng Health. And I've had you on the show many times to speak about the state of Gauteng Health and how you have South Africans really dissatisfied with the service that has been provided. And when you see the investigations currently underway and what Babita Deokaran was investigating, for example, at Thembisa Hospital, you really wonder what's going on and how funds that were supposed to be allocated to basically save lives was used for lavish furniture that nobody can even find today. But what is your response to this? Because, I hear you say we're doing all we can, investigations are underway, but at the end of the day, it's the ordinary South Africa that is affected by all of this.
No, indeed, you are quite correct, Heidi. We are disappointed, if there's really, facilities that ought to be benefiting the poor and the working class in our country and in our province is being used for different things. As you all know, that Gauteng is under extreme strain. Talking to you now, you've got a net 1 million people, intra-South Africans, that are moving in Gauteng outside the foreign nationals. So if you have to speak about the foreign national, 50% of people who are coming to South Africa basically reside in Gauteng. So you can understand the amount of pressure that we've got and the limited resources that we've got. We've got more people moving to Gauteng than basically moving out. So as and when we've got these resources, we must use them, quite optimally. That's why we are really hoping that the SIU can actually fast-track the work. If really there's any wrongdoing, not only must we actually get people to be arrested, but we must have the ability to recoup the money back to the coffers of Gauteng so that we can speedify the service delivery to our people and give them the proper service that they deserve.
Okay, thank you so much for your time, and we'll definitely keep up with you with regards to those investigations and further action taken. That was Gauteng Provincial Government spokesperson Vuyo Mhaga.